Right, 2200 hours, and we are live with the International Force Rape Timeline. Got 3 people here, unusually. Gentlemen, I presume you're all gentlemen. Say hello to Jack Rebolledo. You hopefully can see him in chat. He's falsely accused. His ex-wife falsely accused him of violating her, but she made a big mistake because he was out of town at the time. Now she's up in court. Right, got a lot of ground to cover to that. Got throat problem again. Hopefully, it always seems to happen always seems to happen when I'm doing these timelines. Hopefully, I can hang up on coughing. Right, this is the 3rd anniversary of the International Force Rape Timeline. I started building it in around January or February of 2016, including online, but I didn't advertise it. Didn't advertise a link until June the 13th, 2016, when it had 1,950 entries around that. We're now up to 4,470 something, approaching 4,500. A lot of ground to cover tonight. Firstly, I bought a new chair. I didn't realize I'd have to assemble it. It's one of these easy back chairs. Didn't realize I have to assemble it. I made a dog's breakfast for that, and somehow I managed to lose the Allen key. So I'm sitting in my old chair, which is not as bad as it used to be, actually. Anyway, I'll have to sort that out tomorrow or the day after. So a lot of ground to cover. Firstly, as some of you may have noticed, there's been a massive purge going on with YouTube. People of a certain leftist persuasion, and I think a lot of mainstream media are, they're taking down conservative channels which might be described as right-wing extremists and such. I don't expect anybody to take down this channel. Well, I've actually had 3 videos, one removed, appeal is pending on that. I was just madness, nothing to do with false rape allegations. But I've got this shadow banning, which I'm not, it's definitely shadow banning because where am I? It's if I can find this. Yeah. I've got my advertise. I've made a short clip advertising this timeline for last week, and it's had 6 views. One of them mine. It's really horrible. They're taking down all sorts of videos. I know that feminists are horrible people, and they're pushing their agenda. So hopefully there won't be any direct attacks on this channel, but there are other outlets, such as BitChute and stuff. I'm not sure you can do live hangout on BitChute. Right, this this episode is about false allegations and the punishment they should bring. But as I say, I've got a lot of ground to cover, a lot of preliminary stuff. First of all, literally a few minutes ago, there was a report on Fox News that the actor Cuba Gooding Junior had been accused of groping some woman in a club, which recently he's turned himself into New York police. Erects a CCTV which exonerates him, hopefully. And would you believe another woman came forward immediately and said, "Oh, I was groped by him in 2008." Yeah, sure. It's absolutely ridiculous. There's a woman, I don't think I've ever heard of her before. She's got an article in The Guardian. She's an actress or something. Mira Savino, date rape justice for survivors. She claims to have been not only groped by Harvey Weinstein, which is credible, but a date rape at the time. I mean, the article is pathetic. It's every cliche in the book. Where is it? It's she felt ashamed, and it was somehow her fault. She blamed it. There's all these ludicrous feminist cliches. Okay, it's the Central Park 5 case is back in the news. Unless you're as ancient as me, you may not remember it. It was an absolutely terrible case of a young woman named Tricia Melly, who was she's known as become an horrendous rape. She left for dead in Central Park. 5 youths were convicted of it because they were all black and or Hispanic. We had the race issues coming. I watched a documentary about it a few years ago, which they were also exonerated, but they had their convictions quashed, and they received massive payouts from New York State. I watched a documentary about it years ago, which made out the case for innocence, but I've done a bit more research on it since then, and certainly these kids were up to no good in the park. That there's video of their, though all underage, video of their questioning has been put on YouTube recently, and they seem to have suspicious foreknowledge of. I mean, the claim, one of the claims is that they knew about they talked about the rape before the police knew about it, which is very I don't know. It's just, there's a manufactured hysteria in Britain at the moment. There's wait to find this. This was after if those of you who are familiar with the Liam Allen case. Liam Allen is a Londoner like me. In fact, he lived about a mile and a half from where I'm currently sitting until recently. He was accused of multiple counts of rape of the young woman with whom he was having sex regularly. Thousands of texts, exculpatory texts. Leaving that aside, the case should never have got near the courtroom. Now there's outrage as rape victims warn they face prosecution. Exclusive scandal of new sex crime policy. This is a disgraceful move against victims. That's from the Express. The first line is victims of rape face prosecution if police officers find evidence of criminal offences on their mobile phones. Well, victims of rape and everyone else, you know. That's absolutely ridiculous. You know, if a guy hands over, if a guy's up to whatever, he hands over his phone and they find evidence on it of him beating someone up or conspiring to blow up the parliament, of course they're going to be arrested. Now, women reporting sexual assaults must now hand over their phones for scrutiny or risk their case being dropped. There have been so many innocent men. I mean, I've no doubt that in Britain, there are. Well, when you check out the timeline, there's loads of cases on there of men who've been exculpated by CCTV, by various types of mobile phone evidence. Now, obviously, I mean, if a woman of 50 or 60 is attacked in her own home, beaten senseless, and raped, then are they going to ask her for a mobile phone? Probably not. You know, unless she's had it on while you know, unless she's captured the guy. But most of these cases are women who've got drunk or they've had alcohol or they've done things which they regret. It's regret sex. If you don't believe that, there's lots of stuff on the timeline about regret sex. We've got some absolute manufactured hysteria from the Fawcett Society here. I used to listen to his channel, particularly style, But he made a joke about raping Jess Phillips. If you haven't heard of Jess Phillips, she's a particularly horrible feminist MP. Incredibly, she's married. I tried to think what her husband like, but terrible joke, horrible joke. Yeah, it's the sort of joke that if it's made at all should be. If women, especially on the national stage, don't have thick skins, they shouldn't be in politics, because it's in this age of social media, every half famous politician, every half famous person, every celebrity, every business person and female will be subject to abuse. You have all sorts of nutters out there, trolls. Don't feed the trolls. And they should start this petition. And they should behave this way. We're giving them a platform to encourage them. Prat. But well, it's a bad joke. And a bad joke is a bad joke. We've got another petition here from this article. The CPS is denying justice to victims of sexual violence. Here's how you can help. Because the CPS, the equivalent will be the local district attorney, but here we have a sort of coalition launched legal action against the Crown Prosecution Service for covertly changing its approach to decision making on rape cases, leading to a dramatic fall in rape cases being charged. You think less rape cases being charged would be a good thing? Less fewer women be raped. The bottom line is that a person who reports rape to the police will have less than a 4% chance of getting hurt by a court. Right. If you look at some of these women who are reporting these cases, these alleged rapes, they're overwhelmingly, they regret sex. And in fact, the rape crisis has, I exposed this before. If you check out my video on the Rape Crisis Network, I wrote an article as well called The Truth About the Rape Crisis Network, but they're actually encouraging women to make false allegations of rape. They give it an incorrect definition of rape. Basically, if you don't like the sex, if you didn't want the sex, then it was rape. No, that isn't not at all. All this rubbish here. As I pointed out before, most women are not damsels. Even when they were damsels, they weren't damsels. Genuine rape victims do not have credibility issues. They have bruises. Report promptly. They don't wait till the next day, the next month, the next year. Yeah, this is garbage. And there's all sorts of rubbish here about on the same theme. I mean, you've seen so many ludicrous cases. Check out the Mark Pearson case as well as the Liam Allen case, but there's lots of others on the timeline. Here's an article here. Why are rape prosecutions falling? That's from April 29th. And the number of rapes recorded by police rose from 29,385 to 41,000. Oh, it's ludicrous. That's in a period of a year. Absolutely ludicrous. There's another article here from the BBC. Yeah. He apologised. So why did the CPS drop my rape case? This is a woman called Bonnie Turner. She was sleeping with a bloke. She's in bed with him, and she claimed he had sex with her while she was asleep. I mean, these sort of things are absolutely. I mean, as I think Sarah Silverman said, there goes my favourite way of waking up. And this one is well, here we go. It's about cuts. Rape victims therapy guidance needs urgent review. And you got Shami Chakrabarti on there. Incredibly, she's Shadow Attorney General now, saying the current CPS guidelines are cruel. Labour is calling for an urgent review into therapy for rape victims amid claims that current guidance discourages people from seeking counselling. Well, hopefully it does. Counselling is a scam. It's the thing about this is that they've done what they can to minimise. You know, this idea that testifying in court at all about being raped is equivalent to a second rape, which is traumatizing, stressful. And yet, you know, they can talk about, they can have counselling and therapy sometimes for years on end. And the whole thing. Oh no, listen to this silly bitch.
It's cruel. The fact that a woman who's been raped is then told that she can't access counselling, she can't access that specialist support that's described as life-changing and life-saving because of issues with the criminal justice system is shocking and needs to change. We know that there are serious issues across the criminal justice system when it comes to the prosecution of rape and childhood sexual abuse. And this is just one of many other injustices that survivors are having to experience and having to face.
No, I mean, they don't need counselling. They don't. They don't need. I mean, if you have some sort of trauma, be it purely psychological or physical and psychological, you need to move on with your life. People who suffer serious trauma, they don't have so much in the way of therapy. They have something called rehabilitation, and they have to move on with their lives. And it's a it says here. Pre-trial discussions with sexual medical allegations of coaching. Yes, ultimately found the criminal case. Otherwise, the therapist should avoid exploring in detail the substance of the specific sexual allegations. Records of therapy must be maintained so they can reduce the requirement. Guy says, however, the aspects of therapy have no material relevance to criminal proceedings. That have no material relevance to criminal proceedings, not disclosed. And there's even a suggestion somewhere that this can be sort of corroboration. No. You telling somebody something and then repeating the same thing later is corroboration. Nothing. You know, it's sorry. It's right now a very big one. Sally Challen, as some of you may have heard, in 2010. A woman named Sally Challen, well, her name was Sarah something, but Sarah Louise something, but they call Sarah Louise Georgina Challen, known as Sally Challen. She battered her ex-husband to death. Well, her estranged husband. They were living separately. She went over to his house with a hammer in her handbag, and while his back was turned, bashed his head in. She was given a life sentence with a 22-year tariff, reduced to 18 on appeal. A particularly outrageous murder. The corrupt lawyer Harriet Wistrick, you'll if you check out my article, The Canonisation of Emma Humphreys, you'll see just how corrupt and how delusional is Harriet Wistrick and her lover Julie Bindel. They come up with something called dependent personality disorder, which is a new addition to mental disorders. As I've said before, I don't want to go into a great discussion of mental illness, which does not exist. But dependent personality disorder, all these disorders, they're not mental aberrations; they're descriptions of behaviour. You know, road rage is if somebody's suffering from if a motorist batters another motorist's senseless, he wasn't suffering from road rage; he was doing road rage. They had a spurious appeal, which incredibly the Court of Appeal allowed. She pleaded guilty to manslaughter, granted bail, and decided there will be no retrial. It's absolutely outrageous. And what is even more outrageous is the guy, the guy that she murdered, her ex-husband. She said to have had 40 years of hell. Well, Absolutely outrageous. She was trying to get back with him. They accused him of coercive control. This is a new thing, and coercive control is real, but this is a new thing, a new addition to English law. Coercive control. She was checking his Facebook page. Fair enough. She accessed his emails and his phone. She asked the neighbour to spy on him, and he's the one who's exercising coercive control. Absolutely outrageous. And Wistric's lover Bindle, she wrote an article early last year, claiming that on one occasion Challen had been anally raped by Richard Challen. Nothing like that in the first appeal, which I'm going to add this timeline fairly soon. In the first appeal, there's absolutely nothing at all about her being raped, anally raped, or whatever. They just make these things up. Now I come to a really tragic case. It's something very, very different. This is a girl you may have heard about this, a girl in the Netherlands who, if I get her name right, Noah, come on, here we go. Noah, N-O-A, no, which does not exist. I believe actually she starved herself to death. They allowed it. She was 17 years old, and it was reported initially as euthanasia. It lost something, in translation. She claimed to have been at the age of 11. Noah was sexually assaulted at a school party. 3 years later, she was raped by 2 men. Fear and shame kept her silent. I'm inclined not to believe this happened. Yeah, I mean, maybe I don't believe she was. Well, there's nothing in reported as far as I'm concerned. It didn't happen because a 13-year-old girl was certainly reported. It's absolutely tragic. I mean, it's just, and they put these feminist movements, put these stupid ideas in these into women's heads that rape is a fate worse than death. I made a video about this. There's a woman in Hawaii, Bethany Hamilton. When she was 13 years old, she go swimming a lot in Hawaii, surfing, and when she was 13 years old, she had her left arm ripped off by a shark. A couple of friends, a bloke, they made she rush to the hospital, saved her arm. She's now a mother. She's a Christian, does proselytizing. They made a film about her called Soul Surfer, and she was back in the water the following year. Which surfing, Soul Surfer. I mean, how can I put it? What is worse, being raped or having your arm ripped off by a shark? Be serious. This poor girl was. I mean, what if they wanted to help her? Well, they should have arranged a face-to-face meeting with Amanda Berry and Gina DeJesus, the victims of the Cleveland captives. They would have told them how bad things can be, and it's absolutely tragic. And they should. It's just outrageous. Right, now we come on to the theme, the main theme of the this hangout. What punishment should false rape accusers receive? Well, feminists and assaulted airheads say none. And the other extreme, you've got MRA. Some MRAs who say that a false rape accuser should receive the same punishment as the man would have received had he indeed raped her. Both these are wrong, of course. Sometimes, I mean, every time you a false rape case plays out in court, you hear some airhead saying that the real victim is not the guy who may have been arrested and maybe spent time in the police station or worse. The real victim is some hypothetical woman who may not in the future report a rape. Now, obviously, must be some punishment, but by the same token, it shouldn't be so severe that it deters women from reporting rape and women from retracting rape when they've made false allegations. I've covered with recantations on this time on the time and on this hangout. There's actually footage of Bjorn Pagero, who in 2005 claimed to have been raped by William McCaffrey. After 4 years in jail, she recanted. She got religion. Arguably the most famous recantation in history, Catherine Crowell. She made a bloke named Webb and she recanted. And her victim had spent 6 years inside. Bjorn Pagero got, I think, is it 3-year sentence? Yeah, up to 3 years. Catherine Crowell, she was a teenager. She made an allegation. She faced no actual punishment. But obviously there must be some punishment. What punishment should they receive? Well, the punishment should be proportional to it should be proportional to the every case must be judged on its own merits or lack thereof. This is a case from New Zealand. A teenage girl claimed to have been dragged off by 3 youths and raped at knife point. And two women commented on this. As Louise Nicholas, who was a head case. She's a former. There's a film made about her called Consent. The Louise Nicholas story. She claimed to have been gang raped by police officers 18 years after it didn't happen, and I mean there was she's actually become an actual recognised spokeswoman in New Zealand. But there's a very interesting. I can find this. Where is it? Minor allegations. She accused. She claimed to have been raped by. This came out years later. She claimed to have been raped by a group of Maoris on horseback. Which, here it is. Yeah. Prior claims revealed. Fresh revelations about the background of Louise Nicholas' pack rape allegations show she admitted making up a rape complaint against a group of Maori youths. So this is this sort of woman who's being used as an advocate for victims of rape. But in this case, what happened here is there's a Dr. Kim McGregor is another one. She's quoted here. How was it? Here it is. Calls for help, not charges. Women who make false rape allegations need help, not prosecutions, as rape victim counsellor. Dr. Kim McGregor of New Zealand's Rape Prevention Education said international research shows 2 to 3% of all sexual abuse allegations made were false. In what universe? On what planet? This she said here, was it? She said some who made false allegations might have been sexually abused by a family member, didn't want the person to get into trouble, but wanted the abuse to stop. That's I think that's Louise Nicholas, I think, quoting that. This girl actually been she given name suppression. I have that in New Zealand, but she was eventually identified as Siobhan Dick. That's CHAAVARNE. She lied because she'd been two-timing her boyfriend. So it's complete bunk. So that's Kim McGregor and now obviously some rape allegations are far more serious than others. Find this for this one. This is where are we? Yeah, this is September 19, 2013. Dr. Hannah Farnworth, blonde, attractive, and don't show an empty elevator with her. She claimed to have been raped by claimed to have been a victim of aggravated rape at Bassett Law Hospital, and so 2 physical attacks will be taken seriously. She was subject to an adjudication. Normally, a doctor would be disbarred for something like this, but she was. I think she was. I think she got a year suspension. She wasn't struck off. Oh yeah, 12-month suspension. She was lucky not to be struck off. Now another case, arguably worse than that, was Sheena Boll. This isn't a rape case as such. Sheena Boll, not to be confused with an Indian musician of exactly the same name. Sheena Boll is, or rather was, a teacher in East London. She phoned Childline in March 2016. Phoned Childline pretending to be a 14-year-old girl with special needs, that is a retard, and claimed to be sexually assaulted by a named male teacher. She was taken to court, and afterwards she was struck off. So she can't teach anywhere, certainly anywhere in England now. There's a teaching regulation agency, professional outcome panel decision reasons on behalf of the State for Education. Scroll down. She had a right of appeal. This means Miss Sheena Boll is prohibited from teaching indefinitely and cannot teach at any school, sixth form, college, relevant years of accommodation, or children's home in England. Furthermore, in view of the seriousness of the allegations found proving actor, I have decided that Miss Sheena Boll should not be entitled to apply for restoration of her eligibility to teach. It's a harsh penalty, but it's golden handcuffs. Well, teaching is the legal profession. For a lawyer, an accountant, or a doctor, certainly a doctor who's convicted of any sex offence, in fact, any fairly trivial offence, maybe shoplifting a can of baked beans, will lose his livelihood. So to be extremely careful. So that was. It sounds, it sounds harsh to deny somebody living for the rest, making a living in a chosen profession for the rest of their life, but they take these very, very seriously. Anna Costin, this is a very interesting case. Between April 2015 and March the 29th, 2016, Anna Costin of Shrewsbury made a series of false rape allegations. This is file 3294. You find it on the timeline under April 2015. She made a series of false rape allegations against different men, and the police didn't catch on. It's when we came to arresting them. It's multiple false allegations, including rape. 4 innocent men were actually arrested. She appeared in court at Shrewsbury Crown Court. She was actually treated like a victim. She was given tea and sympathy, but she was given what was it? She actually plotted a knife. She plotted a knife outside somebody's house. I mean, it's absolutely. I don't. You see a photograph of this woman. She looks a bit simple. She was there. Her name was given as Carey. She's used various different names. With mental health issues and needed assistance treatment. She was given a 3-year community order and a care and rehabilitation program. But this is what happened. This was marvelous. The Attorney General heard about this and appealed. I can't remember exactly when it came, but there's such a thing as in the UK as an Attorney General's reference for sentences outrageously lenient. It's coming quite a long time ago. The Attorney General appealed, and she was back up in court, and she ended up with a 4-year sentence, which was still not a day too long. I actually wrote to the Attorney General about congratulating him, but he didn't reply. Surprise, surprise. So that was well warranted. Now there've been two very high-profile cases in the UK recently, both in England. Rhiannon Brooker and Gemma Beale. Brooker made this is one of the worst cases ever. She made a series of allegations against her former lover Paul Fensham, drip-fed lies to her circle of friends over a period of months, inflicted injuries on herself, and the poor guy he was arrested, bailed, and re-arrested. He spent something like 35 days in jail. The police carried on the investigation to build, to strengthen the case against him, and they realised they'd been had because he had a rock solid alibi for one of the allegations. It was a concert, and they found her phone evidence had been doctored, and and she got a jail sentence. And unbelievably, there's the harridans and hags of women against rape treated like a victim. She was a subject of an article by I think it was BuzzFeed. Big article with a video about her, again treating her like a victim. She hooked up with some dude who said who appealed to her. She's in prison. She was self-harming again. Yeah, well, better self-harming than harming somebody else. It's absolutely outrageous. And Gemma Beale was, she made a series of false allegations against, it's said to falsely accuse 15 men or 15 allegations. You can't believe everything you read in the papers, but she made a number of false allegations, including against one bloke who served, we could have a 7-year sentence and served about 2 years of it. This was in London. And she got a 10-year sentence, but she appealed her conviction. Or was it just sentence? I think it was the conviction, and that was thrown out. So it's horrible. She weighs about 30 stone. It's a horrible woman. A lesser known case, which was far too. This is another totally outrageous case. Received very little publicity. This is another local one. Alison Welfare. She was a deaf woman who she framed a deaf lover. It's got to be a joke there somewhere. She went next to a mile and then some to frame Christopher Wheeler. She went to the police, claimed he'd been harassing her. She actually went to an internet cafe, set up a false account, and set herself with fake messages. Then she was found in toilet of a fast food restaurant in Peckham, not far from here, bound, gagged, and covered in paint with a clothes tool. She was taken to hospital. She claimed she had been attacked by two men. One of them, Christopher Wheeler. The guy spent 2 months on remand. And again, the police were very slow, but when they got around to checking the CCTV, they saw her walking into the toilet, and the next person who went in was a cleaner. And this was in 2000 and August the 31st, 2002. And she got a mere 12 months behind bars for that. So, I mean, clearly that is not sufficient for punishment. But you have other cases. How can I put it? I mean, other cases in which women make stupid claim. Some stupid girl she'll say something. Her mother's she's been raped, and then mum calls the police, and it gets out of hand. But for a dedicated false rape allegation against a named individual, if it's staged like that, this is not a woman crying for help. This is malice. This is the actions of a psychopath. You know, if you check out my hangout on man haters and female psychopaths, I think there's a lot of female psychopaths around, because some men you rub them up the wrong way. You probably got somebody like this down living in the street. The guy's rubbed up the wrong way, and you'll get punched in the face or something. Female psychopaths don't do that, because they're smarter than male psychopaths, because men who use gratuitous violence, often they end up victimizing themselves as well. They end up in jail. But a female psychopath, just by making an allegation, can destroy a man's life. And if she backdates it sufficiently, or if it's something which there's impossible to either corroborate or refute, there are no consequences for her. And this, women who do serious stuff deserve serious time. There's a case here from 1993 shows what happens when a woman accuses the wrong man of rape, when she makes a false allegation against the wrong man. Denzel Howell was accused of raping an unnamed woman. I expect I could find out her name, but there's not a lot of point to it. She accused him of rape. So he and a chum, Darren Woodhead, kidnapped her, beat her up, and they ended up with Howell ended up with a 5-year sentence, Woodhead with a 2-year sentence. So, I mean, accusing the wrong man can be very dangerous. Accusing the right man should be equally, well, falsely accusing any man should be dangerous, gratuitously. I just find this case here for this. It's not a recent edition, but I amended it slightly. December 30th, 2016. A 12-year-old girl in Manchester claimed to be dragged into an alleyway and raped by somebody wearing a mask and raped. She said this happened on November 22nd. Again, this is a 12-year-old girl, so kids are savvy. They're savvy. A 16-year-old boy was arrested. Eventually, she confessed it never happened. I'm wondering, there's no mention of medical evidence, but I would presume, I would hope she was Virgo intacta. I'd say eventually she confessed. what can you do with a 12-year-old? There's no any action was taken against her. Well, she needs some sort of, I'd say therapy, whatever. But girl 12 not prosecuted over false story of rape. What can you do as a 12-year-old? See, take her to the woodshed. Get daddy to take her to the woodshed. It's, you know, a 12-year-old should be treated like a 12-year-old, but a grown woman who makes a gratuitously false allegation, let's face it, if a woman falsely accuses a man of rape, they know the consequences. They know that a man, you know, he'll be tired for the rest of his life, and maybe spend years or even decades in jail. In America, they can be very, very, very heavy sentences. And of course, in some jurisdictions, I mean, in Malaysia, they're cane rapists as well. And there's quite a lot of false rape allegations. You know, Oriental women have got this mystique about them, but no, not all women are like that. No, they're not. I mean, there's plenty of cases of. I've got quite a lot of cases from the Straits Times of false allegations in Singapore, which is a small country. So, what punishment should I receive? Well, I hope the woman who falsely accused Jack Rebolledo gets at least 5 years. Has to spend at least 5 years behind the bars, hopefully more, because you know, there's, as I said before, this is the tragedy of the commons. If there are no consequences for bad acts, people will keep doing them, and a lot of these women are encouraged. They're actually encouraged to make false allegations. So while I'm not averse to genuine cases of rape being severely punished, you know, I mean, there are some quite horrendous cases. I mean, yeah, I don't think anyone would argue. I mean, the obverse is that some sentences are 36 months is the maximum. Well, I hope she serves every day of it, Jack. I hope she does, because you know, so she went the extra mile to frame you. And if you check out it wasn't quite as bad as the Brooker case, but it wasn't much less. And she was clearly intent on destroying you. For what? You know, for what? So yeah, I mean, there's these. Yeah, 60 years. Yeah, outrageous. I don't know if that actually means 60 years in America. There's all sorts of funny things going on there, but you certainly would have been. Your life would have been totally trashed. Yeah, I mean, it's there has to be proper punishment. You know, I mean, I'm not averse to severe punishment. Firstly, I think that for younger blokes who rape, convicted of rape, it will be, or it won't happen now because corporal punishment was abolished in 1948. But certainly caning and stuff like that I mean, that would be, it would be more of a deterrent, I think. And you throw people into jail for long periods. Somebody said that prisons make bad people worse, but some sort of corporate. Obviously, if you have, you know, serial rapists or habitual offenders, they have to be locked up for a long time, perhaps forever. I mean, the parole board in this country makes some terrible decisions. Although they would have released serial rapist John Warboys, but there was a massive public outcry, and there was a challenge to it. They went to the Court of Appeal, overruled the parole board. They've actually let out. You might like to look this up, Jack. It's unbelievable. Our own Friday the 13th, a bloke named David McGreevy, who in April, on Friday the 13th, April 1973, he committed an absolutely murdered 3 kids. You'll find the videos YouTube. The Monster of Worcester is called, David McGreevy. They've actually let him out. Well, he was given a tariff of 20 years, which the judge obviously thought was academic, and he was shifted to an open prison in 1994. But there was challenges. In 2006, he was granted home leave. He was allowed out of prison. Somebody at the prison services or the Home Office tipped off the tabloids, and he was photographed walking the streets of Liverpool, Merseyside, and he's back inside. But now he's actually being released. He's 68 years old, but it's absolutely unthinkable that. I'm not a great advocate of the death penalty, but for a case like that, I mean, it's where somebody's convicted of totally unspeakable crimes and overwhelming evidence. I mean, the death penalty is appropriate. So I think, I mean, I'm not averse to lengthy severe sentences for genuine rape cases, but we have to stop this nonsense of women have agency. When women falsely accuse men, gratuitously, they need to be punished. And we also need statutes of limitations, because some of these historical cases are mockery. I can't give any details, but yesterday I took a phone call from a 86-year-old woman whose son is serving a sentence for crimes he was meant to have committed when he was 14, which are absolutely ludicrous, these cases, and there's obviously no corroboration, and women and occasionally men just make stuff up. There's a trial going on at the moment. Nick, well, he was a guy who, I forget his name, but he used the name Nick, and he had Scotland Yard running around all over the place looking for an imaginary VIP paedophile ring that kidnapped, raped, tortured, and murdered underage boys, and these arseholes took it seriously. So anyway, the sentence should be tailored to the punishment should be tailored to the crime, but women must not be allowed. Generally speaking, women must take responsibility for their actions. Women are not perpetual victims. When they commit crimes, and false reporting is a crime, they have to be punished to the full extent of the law. Okay, there's room for mercy and such, but the idea that when a woman makes a false allegation, she has mental health issues, yada yada yada, shouldn't wash. Okay, well, we've got I advertise this widely on Twitter and all other places. There's still only two of us, but well, three of us. So thank you for coming. You especially, Jack, and whoever the other guy is. I will make this video private, edit out the superfluous stuff at the beginning, and then I'll add it to my YouTube channel in due course, and probably next month to the Internet Archive. Well, okay, thank you for coming, and see you again hopefully in around 2 weeks.